Hey, today I want to talk to you about the fear pivot and how fear can get in your way as an entrepreneur and your life. And I so know from my own experience in the early days how fear worked with me. Because when I began as an entrepreneur, I really didn't know what I was doing. And you have this nervousness to prove yourself to other people. And that fear not only got in my way, but it made me stop actually doing things as I overthought, tried to rework things before ever contacting anyone, before ever reaching out and finding whether that worked or not and how simple it was. So what I want to teach you about in the fear pivot is really the fear of failure is the greatest thing getting in the way of many entrepreneurs and how you can overcome it, okay? Because being afraid of what you're doing, of reaching out, is part of being an entrepreneur. You're assuming a big risk with your business. And most of life doesn't work out as we plan it. That's the joy of the pivot, is that you know that it doesn't always work out, so you're not afraid of the result. You're afraid of not taking action, finding the results, learning from them, and then adapting your actions based on what the results tell you. I mean, I began working in my own house back in the late 80s, 20 some odd years ago, and the first 4 or 5 years, I would get petrified. I would feel like I had to be perfect, getting that idea out there, and I would sit there for a long time, not understanding that that lack of activity, that lack of action, that trying to be perfect, and even more importantly, trying to be right, was one of my biggest weaknesses. And what happened? Nothing. Because I was alone, detached, not testing it out, and not reaching out like many business people are. So if your fear of failure was like mine, it can become very, very immobilizing, and you get this illusion of, oh, I'll try this, I'll try that. But here's the key. If you don't try it with the audience, if you don't reach out, you're not trying. So limit yourself and your time to specific deadlines, to specific goals you have, and make sure you honor those deadlines, because nobody comes out with it perfect. The best thing to do is to come out and test it. Now, another form of fear I see is the other one, the overconfidence, like you trying to feign that you're superior when you're actually feeling inferior. Most of us don't feel great about what we're doing. How do you get over that fear of failure? You don't come pushing at people, trying to get them to follow you, powering through them. You invite them in. You open up and you realize, what do you think about this idea? What can I do to help you succeed in your business, and could you help me by sharing a little feedback on this idea? Reach out to 3 to 5 friends, people you know, people who wouldn't even buy your product or service. Try out the idea, and then take your emails out. Go out to Twitter, find people who are connected, related by keywords, tags, by what they do. These are the people that you start testing the idea on, because what you overcome that fear is, the fear of failure can either let you come on by doing nothing, or coming on too strong, trying to do so much, trying to convince people that you're it. Well, here's the deal. You're not it. The person who's going to buy that product or service, your customer, is it. So if you want to get over the fear of failure, don't try to come on too strong. That's just another fear. And fear really is, at the heart of many entrepreneurs, a driving force. It's so hard. We're so nervous whether this will work. But here's one of the greatest lessons I learned that just cleared me of all these problems. And it's the oldest rule, right? It's not personal, it's business. Because if you don't succeed, if that business idea doesn't succeed, that doesn't define you. You define you. And you do that by not taking this business as a way to prove your own validity, to prove your personal value. You're proving the value and the ability to solve a problem to your customer. All of a sudden that fear sort of dissolves, because it is business. It is part where a lot of what we do doesn't work. And that's okay. You're there exploring, looking for the answer, searching for the answer, not trying to project the answer out to people and convince them. That's not the way the world works anymore. It's not controlled by you, it's controlled by the audience. So really what your fear is fear of action, fear of failure. And let me tell you, there's nothing to fear but fear itself, as our president shared many years ago. And it's so true. There is nothing to fear. There's no comment going to be made by people. You're not going to be remembered forever, whatever you do in business, unless you're Steve Jobs. And for most of us, it's not about the legacy we leave. It's about the value we provide the customer. And you do that, and you'll create a legacy. So don't be afraid. Don't sit there. Don't either do what I did, which is don't take action, or do what others do, which is take so much action, but don't listen to what people are telling you. don't be afraid and don't let fear control you, because the fear pivot is you can pivot from fear to just doing, to just acting, to listening and reacting and learning, because the great entrepreneurs are the ones who learn, and learning never stops. And failure is not a stoppage. Failure is not a definition. Failure does not define your business. Being all caught up in the success of a single act you do is really, really a tough thing to do. So don't be afraid. Go out there, give it a shot, and give yourself limited time so you're not stuck in this fear of, oh my God, I've got to impress everybody, I got to get it together. Trickle it out. Keep trying. It's a process. That's what being in business is. That's what being an entrepreneur is the process of not only overcoming your fear, but you're trying to solve a problem for others, which is a fear that they have. And when you tap into that rather than your own fear, the fear of failure goes away and it's replaced by the joy of exploring. My name's Declan and I'm Dunn, and I want to suggest to you, pivot from fear. There's nothing to be afraid about. It's just business, and it's really fun if you get fear out of the way.